The 2000s and 2010s have given us a lot of children's TV, and as you might expect, some absolute gems can be found in amongst all the chaff. Usually these series amass cult followings and are remembered long after they finish airing. Then there's shows like Lloyd in Space. I was poking around on Reddit and found a lot of posts asking if anyone even remembers this series, and those that do remember seem to recall it being pretty good. I'm in the same boat. I remember watching a lot of the series as a kid, and while a couple of quotes pop into my head from time to time, I almost never think about it or see it talked about. In fact, no one I ask seems to remember it either, making me wonder if I just imagined it, and that makes it the perfect candidate for one of my videos. So, as usual, here's the crash course. Lloyd in Space was a 2001 Space Odyssey children's sitcom cartoon created by Paul Germain and Joe Ansalabalobalopoulos, who are also the co-creators of Recess. Paul Germain has also been involved in The Simpsons and The Rugrats, so basically an animation legend already. Germain and his partner worked with Walt Disney Television Animation just like they did with Recess, and this is why Lloyd in Space is such a strange case. Loads of people remember Recess, yet despite the similarities in animation, writing, and the fact the two series share a lot of the same voice actors, Lloyd in Space has somehow managed to remain obscure. The plot of the series revolves around the lives of alien children living on a space station called Intrepidville. Our main characters are four outcast adolescent boys: Lloyd Nebulon, a Vidigrian who's good-natured but also kind of a dick; his best friend Eddie Horton, a ginger human who's always looking for a scam despite his dad being a police officer; literal brainiac Douglas McNoggin, a cerebellian who shockingly much prefers reading to sports; and Kurt Blobberts, a 12-foot-tall, morbidly obese member of the Blobulon race, a group of one-eyed squishy aliens with blue skin and the IQ of the average working-class Republican voter.
Brains are crummy, and brains are dumb too! We got no use for them, and we never will!
While most things the Blobulons say would have been hilarious back in 2001, with social media wrapping its slimy tentacles around everyone's lives, most of us now hear dumb shit like this on a regular basis.
You should talk! That pretty little bully of yours has been confusing my son all day with big words! Excuse me, you guys?
You think you're so smart? Well, you're right, but you're just plain wrong!
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I don't understand what you mean! Shut up!
Supporting our main cast, we have various recurring characters. Popular girl Brittany, a six-armed cheerleader with a massive stick up her ass; her best friend Megan, whose life revolves around basically whatever Brittany wants to do; and the most unfortunately named Vice Principal Feely, a cockroach voiced by Richard Kind.
Attention, Luna Vista students. This is Vice Principal Feely with a very important announcement. Hello, is this thing on? Is it on? Hello?
You know what they do to pedophiles in the big house?
Okay.
Shank them in the shower and turn their pee into wine. That's what they do.
Lloyd's single mum, Nora Nebulon, is the captain/mayor of the station who has to solve everyone's problems because 90% of her staff are idiots. Well, I guess that's politics for you. Lloyd also has a sister called Francine, who's a telekinetic brat straight out of a sci-fi horror. I don't think it's ever specifically mentioned, but everyone definitely tiptoes around her because she can explode people's heads with her mind. Any sane society would have had this 6-year-old monster burned at the stake, but since she's innocent until proven guilty, they're probably just waiting for her to actually kill someone in cold blood. Tress MacNeille plays Mrs. Bolt, their surly robot teacher who has the best derisive names for her flesh and blood students.
Alright, class rats, time for science lab. Good morning, you sentient sausage casings. Alright, you bone bags, pipe down!
Station is the onboard AI with eyes everywhere. He's kind of like a fussy butler who's mostly there to get his neck trapped in the automatic doors for comic effect. The boy's best adult friend is a simple mechanic named Boomer who talks like a stoner from the 90s. In one episode, it's revealed that he's actually the son of a king, so what, does that make him a Disney prince or something? In the episode, the boys go back to his home planet where his father announces that he's retiring as king and wants his son to succeed him. But Boomer is very much enjoying his gap year and wants to go back to his simple life. Luckily for him, the boys have got his back and they end up crashing the coronation just in time to stop it.
Mrs. Boomy! Mrs. Boomy! Mrs. Boomy!
So Boomer stands up to his dad, and the king ends up being surprisingly fine with it. He decides to give Boomer's younger brother the crown instead, and Boomer gets to go back to living his life of not fixing people's cars.
Excellent!
Last but not least, we have Cindy, a girl that Lloyd meets and asks to the school dance, only to discover that she has two heads, and that the previously unseen head is an insufferable bitch. She's one of the most interesting characters because the two sides of her personality are always on display all the time. In the episode where Lloyd crashes a girl's sleepover disguised as a girl, he ends up getting put on trial, and Cindy acts as both his prosecution and defense lawyer. Honestly, it's fucking hilarious. If you grew up on cartoons from the 90s and 2000s, then some of the voices will probably sound quite familiar.
You see, Mrs. Bolt, as of today, I'd like to be treated like a man, since after all, I am 13. Wait a minute, guys. If I'm not the new kid, which kid am I?
Crater Squash? All right! Crater Squash! Crater Squash! No problem, buddy. I always wanted to go to a mattress store.
Unfortunately, the only way out of Brittany's house appears to be the front door. Will I get beat up today? All signs point to yes.
Oh, no, nothing like that. I guess I'm just a little shy. With the aid of Galileo, your future height is a mere 47 diagnostic questions away. I think it does sound a little strange. Tell you what, I haven't seen Cyrenia around, but if you like, I can find her and ask her high power.
After all, considering their limited mental abilities, well, let's just say we, Hello, ladies. Will you do me the honor of taste testing my banana nut cake?
Right. Look, Lloyd, I've got to get ready for work. Try to stay out of trouble for, 5 minutes, okay?
Gelman, what do you think you're doing?
Nothing, Miss Finster.
Yeah, right. Well, let me tell you something, Buster. If I ever catch you touching this kid, or any other kid on my playground, I'll haul your keister down to Principal Prickly's office faster than you can say detention. Comprende?
You might also recognise Brittany as Ashley A from Recess, and various supporting characters being played by John DiMaggio and Kevin Michael Richardson, among others. The more astute of you will also notice that the voices of Lloyd and his best friend Eddie, Cortland Mead and Justin Shankaro have worked together before on Recess as the voices of Gus Griswold and his bully Gelman.
What's your name, kid?
Gus Griswold, sir.
I don't like you, Griswold.
Well, I bet you would if you got to know me. You agree with those guys? You think I'm a two-faced jerk?
Well, sometimes. Like the other day when you ate my french fries without asking, or the time you put that kick me sign on Douglas's back. Funny, but frankly, the act of a jerk.
The general themes of the series are puberty, relationships, and popularity culture, but they also do things outside the school setting, like the episode where Lloyd has to come to terms with his mum dating. That being said, most of the episodes are set in school. Luna Vista is very much like any other fictional American school. You've got your popular douchebags and your nerdy losers, and Lloyd and his friends don't fit in with any of them. In one episode, the boys befriend a geeky insect creature named Larval, whose lifespan is accelerated compared to everyone else's. Larval metamorphoses into a tall, chiseled jock and suddenly becomes popular, ditching Lloyd and his friends and going by the name Larvel. After being taken down a peg by Lloyd and his friends, Larvel then undergoes a second metamorphosis, turning into an adult and realizing what a dick he was in school. It's more relatable as an adult when you look back and realize that the stuff you thought mattered in school was actually really trivial. A similar message is driven home in the episode where Lloyd's classroom accidentally gets ejected into space, and they end up drifting towards a molten lava planet. Realizing they only have about 20 minutes left to live, their bullshit school lives instantly cease to matter. The bullies make friends with the nerds, and the popular kids reconcile with the losers. Lloyd and his friends end up saving the day by using a science experiment to avert the disaster and blast them back towards the school, and they all go straight back to being dicks to each other the minute they're no longer facing imminent death. In one of my favourite episodes, Lloyd and his friends are having an argument with Brittany and her friends about whether a kid in their class, Zoit, is a boy or a girl. Zoit reveals that they are neither a boy nor a girl, and that their species chooses their gender when they turn 13. Since Zoit's birthday is coming up, the two groups make a bet. If Zoit chooses to be a girl, then Lloyd and his friends have to buy Brittany and her friends concert tickets, and vice versa if they choose to be a boy. The two groups take Zoit out to do typical guy-girl stuff to try and steer them into making a specific choice. Zoit ends up loving all the activities, from watching chick flicks, to throwing rocks, to shopping, to belching contests, but the shit hits the fan and the two groups end up realizing what a bunch of twats they've been. They decide to make it right by switching their stance to purposefully lose the bet, but that just makes things worse, because just like before, nobody bothers to ask Zoit what they want. Zoit ends up opting to keep their gender identity a secret, and honestly, I couldn't have thought of a better way to end it. Don't let my high praise overinflate your expectations. It's definitely no She-Ra, but I do think it was ahead of its time, which is ironic since it's set in the far future. I also think the dialogue is a lot better written than it needs to be, and I did find myself laughing at the jokes more often than not. The thing I remember most vividly about the series is the theme tune, which got nominated for an Annie Award. There's probably more I could say about the series, but if you're really curious, I suggest you go and search it for yourself. Unfortunately, at time of writing, it's not on Disney Plus yet, but I suspect it'll get added in at some point, and when it does, you can bet Disney will be rubbing their hands together.
We'll be so rich we can buy all the money we want!
Well, that's about it from me. If you have anything that you want to say about the series, then feel free to leave a comment below. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you hated it, be sure to give it a thumbs down. Either way, thanks for watching, live long and prosper. I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Dave, and I find your lack of faith disturbing. I'm just gonna go now.